1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9
10.
years
Welcome to another episode of Around the Way Girls.
You are no. Very good. Hi.
Hey girl, how are you on this dreary Sunday?
We recording on a Sunday, child. Episode come out tomorrow. You're getting the hottest takes here. I'm fine. Chilling. I'm very excited to clean my house. That's my turn up for today.
I feel like Sunday is the best day. It feels the most productive and like I feel like Sunday is a homesteading day. You cook, you clean, you wear your pajamas, you watch, drink coffee. You're not out in the world.
I'm usually out in the world on Sunday, but
well,
I heard you.
You shouldn't be. That's my hot take.
Okay.
I went out this weekend. Good. I went out this weekend. I went to a hot restaurant in Philadelphia, LMNO in Northern Liberties. And I walk in and there's just white people everywhere. Rashid and I sat down and like 5 minutes in, he came in a little bit later. We were talking, then I just see him looking around. He's like, there's all types of white people here. They're just all so interesting looking. And it made me really sad because there was just maybe 3 black couples in the mix. And I was like, it was a nice restaurant. The food was good. And I'm like, where are the black people? And it just made me think that Philly is just a really, really, the disparity in it is real. Like there are black people in Philly, but they are not going out to eat in really nice restaurants. I mean, it wasn't expensive or anything, but it was trendy. So much so when I go to Brooklyn or when I went to DC, I remember we all went to DC. Maybe I talked about it on the podcast. I was just shocked that there were black people out at these nice places. I was like, is this an event? Is this something special? You're like, no. I'm like, do they all make a lot of money? And you're like, no, they're all broke and poor and struggling. But they still just are out here and enjoying nice things. And just as a black business owner in Philadelphia, it hit me as well. Unless I'm appealing to that audience, unless I'm, or am I shooting myself in my foot by not appealing to that audience? That business was, hand over fist, just rolling in the money. Businesses in Philly will do well if
you're catering towards a certain audience. And
not even catering, if you're open, if white folks know about it. You know? And I also thought about how cool it was. I think it was Heel House of going into the business in Brooklyn and being like, wow, this is a dope space. This is a dope concept. And the last thing I learned that it was black owned. And I was like, great. That's so cool. And I feel so archaic or the disparity is so real that it's we got to be a black owned business. I'm a black owned business. Black, black, black. And whites are can I come in here? Is it okay? Versus no, this is just a dope business. It's open for everybody.
That happens to be black owned.
It just happens to be black owned, but it's a hot ass spot that people want to come to. And that clicked for me finally because I have the opportunity to do the Christmas Village again and just thinking about the marketing around it. And thinking, again, leaning on support us because we're black versus this is a dope business. You feel good when you come in here. You like our shit. I'm just a black woman who owns it. And I guess I'm moving away from this thing that doesn't really serve us anyway. It only served us in 2020 when white people felt guilty. Other than that, they're I feel like they're confused as to they're buying out of pity, and then you can't get a repeat
it's not a
customer. Yeah, it's not a repeat thing where it's oh, I really like your business. I don't know.
I would suggest that I agree. Philly is wildly segregated. Like it's crazy when I come home and I see that and you feel it within the neighborhoods, within the businesses, within everything. This cat is really needy right now. Come on. The other thing I would say, look at like a Hanifa. You know that brand?
Yeah.
And what is it? Fenoel? You know that brand? Black-owned brands.
I saw her yesterday.
Quality. Yeah, just quality stuff that everybody wants. You know, they're very proud of being Black-owned. It's not like they hide that at all. It's out in the forefront, but it's not
their marketing
selling point. Yeah. Right. It's that this is quality material. This is quality work. Everybody's gonna want it. And I think it's so interesting that a lot of folks lean on support Black businesses, which I think for the white audience, the non-Black audience is what I like to call it, since I hate minority or, person of color. It's like, no, or you're non-Black or you're non-person of color. Fuck you. Like, this is not, anyway, that's a whole other topic. But I think that it's interesting when folks lean on that, just like you're saying, because I feel like in white spaces, you're absolutely right. It turns into, oh, I should give my money here because of white guilt, or this is a charity, or this time giving back, instead of, no, my space is dope. It's like aunts and uncles up here.
Yeah.
Like just a dope ass space.
It's
you
just
walk past aunts and uncles and it's all kinds of people in there, as it should be. So, yeah.
We don't have those spaces, and we don't have a Black owned. I don't know of a Black owned business in Philadelphia. There's a few, I take that back, but they very much don't lean on the narrative of being Black owned, and they're doing well. So anyway, that was interesting to see. Totally helped me figure out further marketing just for myself. And I need everybody's help. I'm pressed. Erykah Badu went to New York Fashion Week, killing it. She had on this leopard hat. Erykah Badu is just looking great. She has this brown lip that I have to know what this lip is. And I saw it on Fashion Bomb Daily or whatever, Fashion Daily. What's that called?
Fashion Bomb Daily.
Fashion Bomb Daily. And I was trying to find in the comments, and a lot of people are asking the same question.
You're
a makeup artist. Yes.
That's not New York Fashion Week. That's London Fashion Week. You're going to get the people confused.
London Fashion Week. I think she was DJing. I don't know what she was doing. Let me not continue to lie about what she was doing or where she was at. But I got to know what this lip color is. Somebody help me, please. That's all I have for y'all for today.
I feel like you can find this. We'll talk later. I'm going to screenshot it.
Should I just go to Sephora and ask them? But they be making shit up. I also realized Sephora, they make stuff up all the time.
They're humans. I think, anyway, doesn't matter. I feel like I know what lip you could get. I think Bite has a lip like that, but we'll talk. For me, for my updates, Sheila, I honestly, my head has been buried in the sand this week. A lot is going on in my world. I'm on a new team at work. We just acquired the biggest account that our company, our agency has ever had. Oh. I'm now on that team. It's a brand new team, and we're hitting the ground running, and there's no process in place. And you know me, I'm the process queen. So I'm like, hold up. Everybody wants to jump ahead into these projects, and we have to have the foundation and build the groundwork. We're all working remotely, so we have to have, process in place. So I'm doing a lot of that, and also navigate. When you're doing that, you have to navigate. You're the new person on the team. I'm also not the most senior on the team. There's a lot of VPs on the team, so trying to navigate those egos, which they're really good about because they see that it's working now. And a lot of them I've worked with before, so they understand like, no, she's gonna come in and reel this shit in. Mm-hmm. But I have, I'm navigating that, and also I have my own project, so trying to do the same thing, like both of them at the same time, rather, is a lot. And then in my personal life, I know that I've been open about that there's someone in my life that is struggling with addiction, and just finding out that person, sadly, they relapsed, and it hit me hard. It hit me pretty hard, harder than I would, than I probably admitted to myself at first. So dealing with that, lots of Around the Way Curls work. We're recording on this Sunday because we had a great guest spot that we'll talk about. So yeah, but I've been in my home, and my home is a wreck because I shouldn't say this, but I purchased thousands of dollars worth of clothing for my upcoming birthday party because my girlfriends are putting a lot of pressure on me to look a certain way. My girlfriends are throwing me, Shanti, Amanda, and Jazz are throwing me a lovely birthday party. I'm sure it will be great. And Jade, that I don't know that much about, but all I know is I'm supposed to show up and show out. And so I've been purchasing things and trying to find things that fit my body, dealing with that fucking rejection of, oh, this fits in the breast, but it doesn't fit here, whatever. So my house is in shambles with just nothing but clothes with tags all over the place. So this afternoon, I have to get organized and repackage everything, get the labels ready to ship them back out. Mm-hmm. But I've been also paying a lot of attention to my plants in my house. And I have this one plant, my bird of paradise. Love this plant. Paid almost $200 for this plant. This plant is not thriving in my home. It's not thriving. The only place where it gets the sunlight it needs is right above a radiator, and the radiator wreaks havoc on it. And then in the summer, I think the sun might be a little too bright. It's just like, it's not the right home for it. And so I'm moving it around in my space, trying to find a better place for it. And I realized yesterday I sat down, I put it in the living room and it looks terrible. And I just said, I have to let her go. I have to love this plant and let it go. You already told me that you might not be the suitable mother.
You just had little mites. That was her problem.
I told you, I'll give it to you. It's in good shape. Honestly, the leaves are just curling. And that's a telltale sign that the bird of paradise is not happy. The leaves are curling and yeah. So anyway, I'd give it to you. It has 2 new shoots that haven't opened yet. So that's exciting. Good. But the lesson learned again was that you have to let go. You have to let things be what they are. Love them and let them go.
Don't be afraid to let it go.
Yes. The thing about it is you got there at the end.
Fucking play with me.
No, you have a good ear. If you trained your voice up, it would be you might have a better ear than me, honestly.
Listen.
You're killing it. But that's it. Also, I want to shout Shanti out because I opened this outline, and so I'm always harping on, we're not a pop culture podcast. If we talk about pop culture, then we have to have an evergreen topic that we talk about. Like we can't just talk about Nia Long and her husband cheating and that's it. We have to go dig deeper and talk about the psyche and da-da-da-da. Girl, I'm obsessed with this new approach that you are taking. Y'all, Shanti is italicizing and putting the evergreen question that we will ask ourselves.
We are in collaboration. We are learning and creating
in bold
production.
So she's putting down all of the information. She's even putting it in the outline format so that my dyslexic eyes can read it. And then this bold italics. I open this. I'm so serious. Like, this is the type of stuff that gets me going. And I said, Shanti, no, she knows me. She gets it.
I'm learning.
I love this so much.
You were right though, because you end up just saying what everybody's already been hearing anyway.
And you're just delivering the pop culture news. I'm not interested in that.
Our raggedy opinions, like, who the fuck cares?
Right. Let's dig deeper and figure out what this means in terms of like the society and humanity. So anyway, I loved it. I just wanted to shout you out for that. Good job by you.
On to hot shit. This week, we also had the opportunity to be interviewed by Renee Blewett. If you do not know, Renee is the producer of the Netflix documentary, she did that. And she has just been we learned about her and admired her and have been following her since the whole natural hair thing blew up 12 years ago. And she's just worked in PR. She just does production. Like, Renee just be out here, and her soft spot are Black women and Black women in business. And that's what she really tries to uplift and highlight. And you can check out that documentary again on Netflix, in which she follows the business trajectory of many beloved businesses that we love. Carol's Daughter, Lit Bar, amongst many others. But anyway, she interviewed us and had just really nice, sweet things to say. She listens to the podcast. We're always shocked to know that people that we really respect fuck with us. So it was a really, at least for me, it was a really dope moment to have that exchange with her. And again, she has her podcast. I don't know exactly when it's coming out, but it has been recorded. So be on the lookout for that. And her podcast is She Did That Podcast. So check that out. I was really excited to learn about this new series coming out on WeTV. It's Van Lathan and 50 Cent, and it's called Hip Hop Homicides. And it's an investigative series hosted by Van Lathan, produced by 50 Cent, in which they go into the unsolved murders of rappers in the hip hop community. And if you really love kind of like that murder mystery template, they follow it. But again, it's centered around these mostly Black men that are slain and they're forgotten. I mean, some of our most beloved, Biggie, Tupac, most recently, well, we found out who the murders, the people who killed him are. But, you know, there's this epidemic of rappers being killed. And they're trying to highlight that and uplift that, because if that were in any other spectrum of pop culture, everybody would be up in arms and trying to figure out what's going on. So I love that they're doing
pop white women getting killed, child.
The
Taylor Swifts and the Selena Gomez's and the Ariana Grandes, they'd lose their fucking minds.
It looks like it's really well done. And what is probably the most heartbreaking for me is most of the accounts, like I just saw the trailer, but most of the accounts of the people being interviewed and helping kind of piece together these lost and forgotten stories are the women, the mothers, the girlfriends, the sisters, the aunts, the women that many of which were eyewitnesses to these men that they love being murdered. Many accounts seem like the streets know exactly who did it, but they can't tell it. So there's like, it's not a mystery to most people in the streets. They know who it was. They know the reason. They're still walking around. But because of I don't even say it's ethics, but the codes of the streets, like, you don't snitch. So they're just walking around free. And the women and the families have to like carry it and live with this. And that made me think of P&B Rock, whose baby's mother was there when he was shot. And then I think the account was that he was killed and then they took, like, from his dying body, they robbed him and robbed her. And they have found the suspects to be a father and son duo, with the mother being an accomplice.
Not apparently. The mother, stepmom, father's wife. 17
years old, this 40-year-old man, that's abuse. So, like, if the son, because he's a minor, he'd probably serve his time. But I hope that they make a case that this father, that is abuse to get your child to set. That must be years of conditioning to set your kid up to do some shit like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is a boy in his, like, what a raggedy man. How fucked up is that boy?
I think that's another reason why, sadly, these kinds of cases aren't uplifted. They're not focused on, because one, I think people look at it as, this is a part of the culture that you rap about. This is a part of the culture that you embody. And so what do you want us to do about it kind of vibes? It's so cyclical and it's so sad. And it's really interesting to see that 50 Cent is a part of it. The duality of 50 Cent is like, what, bro? And I'm curious to know if he's really invested in it in terms of like his intentionally instead of just financially invested in it, if that makes sense.
They seem, from the trailer, they seem to be invested. He was the one that brought up in the trailer, 50 Cent is the one, like, if this were happening in white communities, everybody would be up in arms. So,
but again, and then it begs the question, why is it not happening in white communities? And what role do we play in that? And what roles does society play in that? Like, what are all the factors there? I do think there's a level of accountability that the hip hop community
for sure
has to take.
For sure. But and we can talk about this further, but like law is law and investigation is an investigation, regardless of who, what, where. Like if these are the legal practices, then shouldn't that be
absolutely
for everybody?
Completely agree. Yeah. Yep. So that's interesting. Van Lathan, that's so funny that I have to tell you, Jasmine, I'm going to just say this. Jasmine has been on the search to find my husband. And the way she just sent me, she was like, listen to him talk. He's smart. She's like, is he single? Maybe I'm going to send him your profile. I said, please do not.
Let me tell you, let me find out you have a celebrity matchmaker. You be like, yo, tap on.
Everything she's done has been a mess. I love her dearly, but I be like, girl, no. First of all, let's not do that. But shout out. That's why every time I see that name now, it like was last week. She said, I never heard anybody break it down so simply. He's smart.
He is smart. He's been in this game. Actually, I know nothing about him. Let me shut the fuck up. I don't know.
No, he's highly. That's the dude that he really got his rocks off when he, held Kanye accountable for the slavery comment and then everything. That went viral and it blew up. But he's intelligent. He's got a really great podcast with a woman. I'm not remembering the name right now, but it's really good.
Well, to go on to something being really intelligent is these Game of Thrones. I want to keep us updated and talking about it.
Is it intelligent?
Is it? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I have been this most recent episode in which they jump 10 years, I don't know, they jump ahead, is the most recent episode aside from what's about to come out tonight. And this, again, spoiler alert for everybody, sorry, but I just want to say that it does not feel believable, and not like Shanti, there's dragons believable, but like the plot doesn't feel, character, the Princess Rhaenyra, to me, feels the least believable in this, and her character choices do not make any sense to me. Because the young one, the little maiden John, she felt really smart and cunning, impulsive maybe, but I don't think she would make these decisions that the older one's making.
Yeah, I think it's less developed, the characters, and I think the characters are less. I think less intelligent. There's a lack of depth too. It's like the original Game of Thrones characters. Everyone was trying to think 10 steps ahead. Yeah, for the most part, right? They were all playing chess, and no one was just stupid. Really, even Joffrey was not dumb. He was still highly manipulative. He, even if his main goal was to just terrorize someone, it was to terrorize them to get them to fall in line. He plotted things out in terms of how he dealt with Sansa, and it was sick. This just feels sloppy. You're right. It feels sloppy. A lot of the storylines are like, we did this already. The hair is different, the this, the that. I don't want to spoil it. Don't keep spoiling it, because some people might not have but the other thing that I'm realizing, because when I watch it, I go and watch New Rock Stars, their breakdown and their Easter eggs of it. The reason why we're not loving this as much is because we are dodo birds and we only watch TV and we did not read the books. This is in line with the book. So they're telling the book story, but they're doing it in a way that,
doesn't feel nuanced.
It doesn't feel as nuanced. It doesn't feel as, Yeah, there's not as many experts behind it. But here we are. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Final thing. The bad guy. What's the nigga's name? The Wire nigga that of the old Game of Thrones. What's his name?
The Wire. What?
The Wire. The actor that played in The Wire. He was the mayor in
Littlefinger. Littlefinger.
So there's like, it feels like there's a new Littlefinger-esque character that's come up. I don't like. I feel like it's also. It's just cliche that he is disabled and kind of gay. And that making him... I felt Littlefinger was such a dope character.
That character is not gay.
No, but this new character, The new character
isn't.
He's effeminate in it. He's given the same like Jafar or Ursula. He's given like...
You got gay from Jafar?
You didn't get gay from Jafar?
No.
You
Jafar
don't get gay from Ursula?
Jasmine any day.
Oh, God. You didn't get gay from Ursula?
No, this is a larger conversation.
Or Mufasa? You don't get gay?
You got gay from Mufasa?
Not Mufasa. Not Mufasa. What's the Scar?
No, Shanti, not at all. What?
Wow.
What are you saying to me?
There's whole theories around how
you got to get off YouTube.
No, this is a whole... They talk about this in college classes, how they code queerness in the bad villain characters.
Wow, I don't get it. I don't get that at all.
Well, you need to watch those characters all over again because it's given... Ursula is giving queer child. She is giving gay. Jafar is gay.
I always thought Ursula was just like a big old sexy woman. Wow.
I think she's the dopest character. But I feel like they're following the same trope. with this other character that feels like, okay, I don't know. I'm still going to watch it till the fucking end and probably love it in 2 episodes. But yeah, here I am.
We'll see what happens.
I'm so shocked that you've never heard that.
I've never heard that ever.
And go look into
hot
that.
Take. I never heard that. I will say I'm just mostly annoyed with every black character on Game of Thrones. I'm standing by that.
Oh, her husband. Oh,
her husband and the mom.
Oh, and the sister. I was like, girl, dramatic. Like
I can't. Me can't.
Why would you do that?
Why
was that really what you needed to do?
Why are they even on the show? I don't get it. They better show them getting colonized or something. My friend Dante brought up a really good point, and he was like, "Yo, it doesn't make any sense because in the original Game of Thrones, like Valyrian steel, it's all exalted. It's like old Valyria was like the most incredible place in the world. Like those were the power players, and they happen to be black. And now all of a sudden, all of the black people are marginalized. Y'all better fucking address that. Like, there's no way this House of Dragons or the Dragon, whatever it's called, black people change the title. They have to address that. Anyway, we're a half an hour in. Let's keep going. Ciao.
All right. Lastly, and I'll touch on this. I've been watching Atlanta. I'm lost. I'm like, all right, what are y'all talking about? But I'm still into it. I'm like, do I really like this, or is this just me following this Atlanta thing? But they have moments where it's really poignant and beautiful. But most of the time, I'm like, what are y'all trying to say? Like, what? Where is this going?
I haven't had time to watch it.
Rami is back. I loved that show, and I don't like it so much this season. I'm wondering what other people think as well. The actual character Rami, I dislike so much, and I was like, why have I seen this character before? And I think he thinks he's like the Arab Woody Allen, and I wonder what other people think about that. It feels funnier. It's a funny season, but it's far less, I don't know, it's far less impactful than I think the other seasons were. So I wonder what folks think about Rami as well. Okay.
I don't watch it. I'm not
Well,
watching
that's all I have
anything
to
on
say.
TV.
You should watch it. That's my hot take. I wonder what people think about it.
Okay.
Politics
as usual.
Politics as usual. This got a little bit of press, but I think it's pretty cool. Cuba has introduced new family codes, some of the most progressive in the world, people are saying. The what they have adopted and the new codes that they've created, one, show that they had 595,000 interventions around consulting and figuring out what these proposals were going to be, meaning that it was super democratic. The people had a lot of their hands in it, town halls, again, recreating the different iterations of what the new codes were going to be. But basically, they created codes where gay couples have the right to marry and adopt children, elderly folks and children are given broader rights. There's a lot of measures against gender violence. Surrogate pregnancies are something that's given legal value and attention. Apparently, folks are saying it's like they have deconstructed the nuclear family and upheld the fluidity of what family is and how the new generations are just looking at family, not as just like a husband, wife, and children, but like many different iterations that they're putting some respect on. So I thought that was really cool and it sounded really good and everybody's holding it up. But I also wanted to mention that just months ago, Cuba was facing a lot of backlash for the way that they were treating these people that they so-called care so much about. There was a huge, it may still be going on, a huge energy crisis in Cuba, food shortages to the point that the people were getting really upset and having lots of protests and reaching out to the broader world community to ask for help. Mm-hmm. And the response from that had been mass arrests, people being locked up for unreasonably long amounts of time. Many folks have just gone missing. And so there's like this, I don't know, it feels like it's strongly like, yo, we don't really care about the people. But then Cuba, and I even think the US, we do these power plays around what progress and these social causes, you know, many of which are around sex and sexuality, which I think is so interesting. Whether they like give people, oh, we're going to allow you to do this one thing, or they take it away. I feel like it's just like a political power play and we all just kind of like fall into it. Or I don't know what choice we have in a lot of ways, but is Cuba really progressive? Is America really progressive in all the ways we have all this freedom, but then like actually...
Yeah, I can't speak to Cuba because I won't even pretend to know all the ins and outs of the politics there. But in listening to that, I'm thinking about the US and how, you know, we'll have these progressive laws or these progressive conversations, but there's always this other thing that requires more work, that requires more honesty. And
that's a complete contrast to that.
Yes,
like we're going to do this one
conflict.
Thing, but conflict, that's the word.
And so it's just like, I don't know. I saw this and what I took from it, I saw it popped up on my screen because I get news notifications from certain outlets. And that was it. There was no more talk about it. And I thought that's partly why Cuba struggles the way they do is because we don't amplify those voices. We don't for a reason, because Cuba doesn't fall in line with, you know, how the US wants them to go about their politics and their social structure. And, you know, it's very interesting. I don't often trust the coverage that Cuba gets here in the United States, especially since media is so corrupt now. And the media, instead of just giving you the facts and letting you have some time to critically think and determine what it is you think, to draw your own conclusion, they're feeding you a certain narrative. Mm-hmm. And so specifically with Cuba, I'm always like, I don't know. Because even when we went, it was so interesting. We got to go right after Castro passed away. And the conflict that was there in terms of people who uplifted him versus people who were like, forget him. When I went back, all of those, not all of them, but many of those, remember how you couldn't walk a street without seeing his image? They're gone. Painted over. Gone.
I mean, Cuba, America, again,
Russia.
These political power plays around sexuality, which is such a personal and biological choice, just fucks me up. And we're all like, we're measuring these countries around their power and how the narrative that they give around something that is so like biological. But anyway, for those that are excited, that's wonderful. It's complicated, tricky.
Speaking of, I guess I think it has a little bit of something to do with sexuality. M&Ms. This is something that really excited me and made me proud because I know some people that worked on this. There's a new purple M&M. I don't know why that just brings me such joy. And it's like in a peanut shape. And it's the unveiling, especially now that I'm in advertising. It's just interesting how everyone goes about things. But the unveiling was with like a little musical theater number. And the old musical theater dork in me kind of loved it. And the M&M is singing, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be me. Nothing else I can be but a purpley peanut-shaped chocolate candy. And it's just so cute. But obviously it's playing on the idea of like, I'm going to be who I am. I did think it was interesting. I listened in the song and the M&M is gendered. Because at first I was like, is this going to be like a non-gender conforming M&M? The purple alludes to, possibly this M&M could be gay or it could be whoever it wants to be. That's the whole point of the M&M. But it doesn't have a specific gender. It does. They called it she. Okay. It was referred to as she, but I don't know. It was
less
really
sexy one.
Far less sexy, just chilling.
No
just
heels.
A purple ass M&M. I mean, they've desexified a lot of that happened. I think maybe like a year ago where the M&Ms got a little remake. And I did not know that M&Ms had the kind of backstory that they had. Every character has like a serious backstory and a lot of time and effort goes into it. But what was really dope for me was that for each song stream, which is available on all major streaming platforms, and I have to say that I have played it on mute maybe, on repeat to just get the streams up, because M&Ms will donate $1 up to $500,000 to Sing for Hope, which is a nonprofit organization that brings music and creative outlets to people across the world in an effort to create healing and equity in the arts. Now, $500,000 is not a whole lot to M&Ms, because I can't even imagine how much that company is worth. But I thought it was interesting when it was unveiled, the outcry of people saying how ridiculous it was. We don't need politics in our candy. A lot of people uplifted it and was like, oh, we've been wanting a purple M&M. This is lit. And it was more about like, we voted years ago and purple came in second and they chose blue and we're happy. But I did see the other folks annoyed. And so I guess I asked, a lot of people are like, every company wants to get on this diversity, equity, inclusion train. They're just doing it because it's the fad right now. It's inauthentic. So my thing is like, what do we want from these companies? There's all this outcry about how they're not doing enough. There's not diversity in advertising. And it's like, M&Ms has also stated that they're looking within their actual organization and examining the makeup of their organization. Why are people, right? Why are people, what people are at the table? Why are certain people not at the table? How do we get them there? How do we train our people? So they're doing this kind of work. And the way that I think that they're showcasing it is through a purple M&M, but there's other work being done behind the scenes. So I don't know. I'm just like, we keep asking for this inclusion and for us to see ourselves. And it's really interesting when it works. It really works, right? People believe it. It's like Nike has it down. Nike has it the fuck down where we're like, we fucking believe Nike, But when it doesn't work, I'm so curious to know where's the line where it's like, oop, that's no longer authentic, and how do we determine that?
I think it's very similar to what we talked about at the top of this and what you just touched on. I think the most important thing is how is your business actually structured to reflect equality, diversity, and inclusion. That's the most important thing. And the longer and the more authentic that foundation is, I think the flowers that bloom from that are going to show that. And companies that are reaching for that are not really a practice of that. It's going to feel strange. I am assuming. I don't know. I mean, if they got a really good marketer, they can talk their shit and make it look really pretty. The power of narrative is everything. But it's taste. I think it has a lot to do with taste and your team.
But
and who's controlling the storytelling.
It's like seeing all of these. Now you see almost everybody I remember being little and thinking, I don't ever see anybody that looks like me in commercials. And now, oh my God, I'm sick of seeing these goddamn biracials everywhere you look. It's like, oh, there you go again. And it feels, I guess it's because it's all happening at once. And I have to check myself, like, isn't this what you asked for? Isn't this what you, so maybe
interracial couples.
Right. Well, tricky. But I think it's because then they need to do a better job and we need to do a better job at actually receiving the information, because some of it is out there, but they need to do a better job at, I guess, telling folks the real work that they're doing behind the scenes as well, in terms of the structure.
I guess we're also just watching this happen. Like JoJo's children or JoJo, it may not be something that they have to think of. It's like something they never have to consider, but like we're watching it happen. We knew what it was like before. So of course we're like crotchety and like upset because I don't know. What do we want? I don't fucking know. But
I don't know.
And it feels like their relationship with their consumers, like Facebook. I feel like Facebook has the hardest job of being authentic and showing that they have a soul. But that they're going to try to do it. Will we ever believe that Facebook? Do
you see those ads where like Facebook has more people working for the whatever
they probably do. We still like
the CIA. Right. And we're
like, you ain't got no fucking soul, bro. Like, what are you talking about? You're listening to this conversation right now being recorded.
Tricky.
Joe.
Tricky.
I'm gonna skip past this actually, just to save time.
I want to say something. We don't have time to discuss this, but I do want to say Putin is losing the war in Ukraine, and I want to say that really showcases the strength and the heart of the Ukrainian people, and I think it's incredible because when he first invaded, people thought that country was going to fall almost immediately within a couple months. And the way that they've held on is wow. And big ups. Like, I know that this, politics, especially international politics, is very confusing and a lot to try to understand. But I'm really happy about this. Putin doesn't know what to do with himself. And even his people in his own government are starting to turn on him and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And shout out to the Pope who called Putin out and was like, you need to stop this dumbass war. What are you doing? You look silly and you're getting nowhere fast. That's one thing. I want to send prayers to everybody who was affected by Ian, the hurricane. It wreaked havoc on like the theater that I was performing in Florida, gone. It's really, really sad. So just praying for folks who were affected by that. And then sending a whole hell of a lot of prayers, more love to the people in Indonesia right now. I don't know which island, apologies, but 131 people died after violence and chaos erupted over a fucking soccer match. And people of the, of the opposite sides of the spectrum literally started to fights broke out. There was a stampede and people died of suffocation. Many people died of suffocation because everyone was trying to either charge the field or get out of the stadium. So that's just so sad. So listen, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but sending light and love to all those folks, because we actually do have people that do listen in Indonesia, and even if we didn't, still sending you light and love. But on to another cheery topic: pop culture. Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh God, I don't want to get super into this, but Jeffrey Dahmer was this asshole who was also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal. And he's an American serial killer and sex offender who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 men and boys. And his victims were predominantly Black. Sadly, we keep telling this story, and the show is number 1 on Netflix. Everyone's ranting and raving about the guy.
Do we keep telling the story?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
there's so many Jeffrey Dahmer movies and like series and shit. Yeah.
Oh.
The show is number 1 on Netflix. It's already broken the record for the biggest series debut. Folks have been calling the show out because no one reached out to any of the family members of these folks. They actually have the victim, like one of the victim's brothers, she had this outburst in court.
One of the victim's sisters.
Thank you. One of the victim's sisters had this outburst in court, and they never reached out to her. They used what she said verbatim. They dressed the woman who played her, had her clothing on, her hairstyle, everything. And so they're just talking about how these victims rewatching this, there was an interview with the victim, and she said, I feel like Netflix should have asked if we mind how we felt about it. She said they didn't ask me anything. They just did it, but I'm not money hungry. And if that's what the show is about, Netflix is trying to get paid. She said, I could understand if they gave some money to the victims' children, but not even necessarily their families or me. I'm old and I'm very, very comfortable, but the victims have children and grandchildren. And if the show benefited them in some way, it wouldn't feel so harsh and careless. So 2 questions that I'm asking myself here is like, one, this show being number 1 on Netflix, there is studies that support, and forgive me, I don't have them to source right now, that we get this obsession with this crime. Even you say how much you like true crime, like this true crime shit. And especially with serial killers, a lot of women fall in love with serial killers, women especially. A lot of people are really drawn to those types of humans. So I'm like, what does that say about us? And then on the flip side, what does it say about, again, humankind as well, but business practices where obviously this is all legal record. It's all public record. So they don't have to reach out to that woman to say, hey, can we use your likeness? Can we this? Can we use your words? It still feels gross. It still feels like, how could you not, like these victims found out about the show the same way we did. I could not imagine having my brother killed and like eaten, dismembered and all kinds of shit. And then people are watching it for entertainment. Somebody's probably going to win a bunch of awards around it. And I'm still coping.
Well, as you said, is it the success of it that they're upset with? Because if this story has been told many other times and it's iconic in the American history, was that same energy
it's not being reached out? It's them not being reached out to, consulted, or even just informed.
Well, but was that same energy for all the other movies? They were consulted.
This wasn't just for Netflix. This one iteration of it. She's talking about in general, like. She's talking about in Netflix right now because that's what the questions are. But the victims have spoken out numerous times about and they have been consulted on other projects. That's the other thing. Netflix didn't even inform them. And Netflix is making money hand over fist. Or maybe not because they laying people off too. So tricky.
It's mostly Black women. That's another conversation. Ooh. Also, these types of productions go through very, very, very rigorous legal skimming. Right? So is it a question, I guess it's a question of ethics. Like, what are your ethics?
It's morals. Because again, it's public record. They don't have to reach out to them.
I think people are really impressed with the show as well. I personally tried to watch it, but I couldn't. I really like that actor. the guy that plays him, I think he can act his ass off. I couldn't watch it because the whole time my heart was racing. It made me feel really, really, it stressed me out. But the people that have watched it, that I respect their like analysis, thought that the way that they showed the discrimination and the treatment of the way that racism played a part in this, had everything to do with why he was able to get away with what he got away with homophobia in American culture during that time. There's also like these broader discussions and highlights that this shows and reveals to folks that many people didn't know. That do we sacrifice that as well? I don't know. Of course it's going to be painful. Would I want my child's legacy and would I want to have that wound reopened? Probably not, but it's an iconic story at this time. I've known about Jeffrey Dahmer for as long as I was aware that there were serial killers. Like it's there, it's out there. And then doing what I guess they felt like they were doing justice of not just making it this gruesome story, but also showing like how the fuck was this man able to get away with this? Right. And how awful, like how frustrating it was. I don't know. I don't know. I think
that's an aspect that a lot of people listen. Two things can exist at once. You can tell that story, and I understand people tell stories. Why can't I use my words today? People create shows based off of real events, right? I get that. I do think ethically, you let the families of the victims know. I think it's just, and then you can tell them this is the approach that we're taking. And it's just it's not for their approval. It's just as a courtesy. Yeah. So I think that's just like one misstep. I have not watched it. Again, I tried to watch it. I got to the part where he has the first guy in his hotel room. And I was like,
in his room.
Turned on. In his room where the guy's like,
girl, I couldn't do it. I said, I got to go.
I couldn't take it. And I didn't see anything else. I just turned it off and was like, no. We'll see if I get through it. But
I don't think I want to watch it. But also, I have seen the Twitter and all of the people saying, like, Jeffrey Dahmer could get it. Like, he cute. Like, yes. Again.
What does that say about
making fun of the guy dancing in the room trying to distract him? I don't know if you got to that. Like, Black people are expert at making trauma funny. So I don't think anybody's safe when it comes to TikTok, Twitter.
To take that a step further, why are they experts at making trauma funny? Exactly. It's out of necessity. I can't do anything else but fucking laugh because I can't change it. I feel powerless. So this is what I can do, which is we can dig deeper into that another day, maybe. Why do we do that? And why is Black Twitter so funny? It's actually deeply sad, but it's also brilliant. It's two things can exist at once. Did you see my note? Can we go? Okay. Yeah. The next thing that I thought was very interesting, I had an interesting conversation with a friend around this, and we disagreed. Chrissy Teigen reveals that she actually had a life-saving abortion. She lost her child. When was that? I forget how many months. I think only, weeks, 10 weeks in. She's pregnant right now, but she said
she lost her child. She didn't lose her child in the past.
I'm about to get into that. She lost the child at 10 weeks, but that was the narrative that she gave us, right? Which I don't disagree with her personally. But she said, I told the world we had a miscarriage. The world agreed we had a miscarriage. All the headlines said it was a miscarriage. But now she wanted to correct the record. Let's just call it what it is. It was an abortion. It was an abortion to save my life for a baby that had absolutely no chance. And to be honest, I never ever put that together until actually a few months ago. Republicans are outraged by this. They're saying that she's just saying this, which I don't even want to talk about the politics behind it. They're saying that she's saying this because the midterm elections are coming up and abortion is something that's getting people out to vote and energizing folks. I think that's disgusting. Fuck Ted Cruz. I had an interesting conversation with someone who was like, yeah, she's a fucking liar. And I was like, what do you mean? She's a what? And he was like, yo, the grace that they're giving her, she fucking told everybody she lost her baby. She had an abortion. And I said, well, the baby was not going to make it, and neither was she. And he said, yeah, so then call it what it is. And I'm like, well, she just said she just put that together. In my mind, I've never been pregnant, but if I were to be pregnant, I think in this moment, and someone said to me, your child will not survive. And if you try to deliver this child, you will die. That is a miscarriage in my mind. And the procedure that we're doing to take care of that, I don't think it's the same as one where I'm choosing like to end the life of a viable child, baby, which I also think is my right. But I'm just like, what? The conversation around this is interesting, how we're defining this, right? Now we're getting to this thing because now they're like, she's a liar, she's this, she's that. I'm like, where's your empathy? Where's your compassion? And I guess, how do we define what an abortion is or what a miscarriage is? If the fetus, that's the word I was looking for instead of baby, the fetus is not viable. And from you can die.
From what I understood, well, the definition of a miscarriage, the expulsion of a fetus from the womb before it is able to survive independently, especially spontaneously or as the result of accident, the unsuccessful outcome of something planned. When I remember following her during that time, and I remember her sharing her story in the hospital bed. And from what I understood, that the baby was not viable, the life could not continue, and that they had a surgical extraction of the baby. Like, she had to hold the baby, it was a surgical extraction. But I never connected that to being a medical abortion.
Right.
And she didn't word it as that, as a medical abortion. I definitely didn't connect what had to happen as a miscarriage, which I know to be something that happens spontaneously and is unplanned. You don't necessarily go to the hospital to have it happen. You go afterwards, sometimes to get the child expelled. So,
well, she called it a miscarriage. So I was, when I saw it, I was under the impression that the fetus died.
She called it a miscarriage, but her documentation didn't show that it was a miscarriage. Which, for me, in my interpretation of it and how she showed it, like, it was surgical. They got to see the baby, hold the baby. They knew it was planned. They knew what was going on, which definitely fits.
I'm like, it's a loss. It's a loss of a child. To me,
but she's not a liar. I don't think she's a liar. No. I don't think she misled people. I think that she, just made that connection of like, oh no, this was like, had I been someplace else, what had to have happened? What would have happened? Exactly. I would not have been able to have that.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't know. I was really disheartened when I had that conversation. And it wasn't a long one. So maybe if we would have continued, it would have shifted a little bit, or I would have had a better understanding of what they were trying to say. But, I don't know. We all need to take a fucking step back and like really tap into our empathy and really tap into our compassion, because I saw that she was getting backlash online too. And then for the Republican Party, or some members of it rather, I don't want to speak on the whole party, to take this and run with it. And the way that Ted Cruz had, it's sick. It's sick.
It is. They are kicking their own ass by pushing on. They need to shut the fuck up about abortion, because they are fucking up their strategy around it. The best thing they can do is stay as far away from abortion as they possibly can.
Did I talk on this podcast about
No, I've just been listening to the same things that you've been listening to.
Okay,
and they have shot themselves in the foot.
They came out with their new plan around abortion and all this other shit. And it was like, bro, what? This is not what the Republican Party stands for at all. So again, what are you talking about?
Using this biological personal thing to and wielding it politically, we are so fucked up. And then you change the narrative, and also we fall into it too. We're like, I gotta get energized politically, because it's sad that we're forced to do that. It's sad.
Yeah, we're forced to do it.
Charles.
You added this.
Listen.
Let's lighten it up.
Let me tell you something. I fuck with Caresha. I knew nothing about City Girls. I didn't pay attention. I don't know the songs that they make. They're not in my.
I think I know one
lexicon of.
What is
that's
it?
The wrong usage of that. They're not in my world. But because of these recent interviews with Caresha,
please.
She's not JT. She's the other one.
She's Caresha. She's
but
Young
she
Miami.
Has a name. Young Miami. Young Miami of City Girls.
We old.
She went on to say that she wants to be. She's really digging deep into her interview journalistic efforts, and she wants to be the next Black Oprah.
That is the part for me. I was like, wait, what?
I get it. Listen, I
met Hood Oprah.
Yeah, she met Hood Oprah. Oprah's like,
bitch, I am Black. What? Fucking what? I'm Sophia. Get out of here.
It made me think of, again, it made me reflect on how iconic and powerful and legendary Oprah is. I know you don't fuck with Oprah, but she's like Michael Jackson. She's like, the closest thing to Michael Jackson is Beyonce. Who is the
Oprah?
Who is the baton? Who is she going to pass that to? What Black journalists do we have?
Dear God,
in our time?
Don't let it be Caresha, dear God.
Why?
Girl, don't play with me. Have you watched
Wait a minute.
I don't want to derail this. She'd be like, so what
Oprah's
you doing? What's
powerful, and that's maybe why she made the statement around Black, right? Because Oprah was powerful because she stretched along all the demographics.
The people you cape for. I mean, Young Miami. Who was the other one? Who was the other? Wendy Williams. Who else?
That's David. Who Caresha wants to actually be.
Right. You actually want to be Wendy.
You want to pay homage to fucking Wendy.
And you might want to be more powerful than what Wendy was and have an empire. Heard you.
You might
or
want
maybe
to
you want to be Oprah. Maybe let's not limit this queen. But she ain't Oprah yet now.
Oprah's power is that she owned her own production studios. Mm-hmm. She was enterprising. She was very niche and realized that women were the demographic. You could keep their engagement. They stand hard. She created content that was really, really holistic and empowering for women to see themselves, to be themselves.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. I'm following.
And then Oprah also created a platform in which other Black folks could leverage, right? All of a sudden, Ava DuVernay, what's that nigga Medea? Autumn.
I gotta go.
I can never remember that nigga's name.
Perry. That nigga Medea.
She has been, like, if you get a stamp of approval for writers, for Oprah says she don't eat beef, the industry went under damn near. Like, she was she was the influencer before we even knew what an influencer was. It was fucking Oprah. I think what Caresha is saying is that she wants to be that for her demographic, which are young. I don't know. Are we stereotyping her? Because I'm not even going to say what her demographic is because I might sound fucked up.
Shanti, let me just ask you a quick question. Have you watched her show ever?
I like her though. I like the way she told. I like her big ass teeth. Their fucking teeth take me out, bro.
Veneers. Have you watched the show? Have you watched her interview style?
Yeah, I like it. It's like flirty and like you want to fuck me? Like, would you fuck me? What? Like,
Listen. I want you. Here's your homework. You need to sit and you need to watch a full Caresha interview, and then you get back to me. Okay?
But why can't we do those same 3 points that made?
She can. She got to get rid of Diddy because right now he owns everything. I'm sure, and she's getting paid as talent. She's on his revolt. That whole thing came to be because of her relationship with Diddy.
Ooh, girl, that is not Oprah. Stebbin would never.
So, one, that's the first thing, is that she has to create her own empire. Even it's brought to you by his new drink, his new liquor, All of that.
Girl.
His voice is, that's how I know you haven't watched it. His voice, he's
Caresha,
inserted into it.
Wendy
Caresha,
Williams,
please.
baby.
Right. Caresha, please. Presented to you by. Now, back to Caresha, please. And it's Diddy. I had to watch it because Mandy and Bridget wanted to talk about the Kevin Yates interview. To be very clear, Caresha, it's obvious as someone gives her cue cards and tells her to quit. There's no, I could say the most provocative thing, and she is not going to follow up on that with another question because it's not written on her cue card. God bless the girl. She's out here, and I'm rooting for her. She seems like a lovely young lady. She's likable. She got to work on her journalism. You definitely bigged her up in a way that it was shocking. I said, she ain't never watched this day of her life.
What you do? You like that? You like the way you you like the way you talk?
If she were to interview Beyonce, she'd be like, "So how you feel when Solange beat his ass?" Like literally, that would be her style. Yeah. So how you feel when that nigga cheated on you? What would y'all talk about?
And that energy is needed for some people.
Sometimes
if she had the skill.
Yes, sometimes it is. But
Oprah say the same fucking thing.
But
just a little different.
Let me tell you who is. Listen, I'm gonna get off of Oprah. Who really is like this? Go back and watch Barbara fucking Walters. Barbara should have got her mouth tapped a couple times with some of the questions she used to ask. She'd be like, "Are you a bitch? Excuse me?" Like Barbara,
I'll say that you're one of the most unattractive women that ever walked.
I mean. And if you put a people say in the front of any question, Barbara would get away with it. I'm like, girl, you better simmer the fuck down.
Times Magazine said.
So yes, I think another thing that stuck out to me is her saying she wanted to be the next Black Oprah. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, are you equating Oprah's success to whiteness? And that's a whole other conversation we don't have time to get into. But why did you detach Oprah from Black? That's very interesting right there, then and there. And then also our response to it. I'm checking my response right now where I'm like, girl, you can never. But why? Because her language isn't the same. I just don't think she's that skilled as an interviewer yet. I don't care if she talks the way she talks. I mean, cool.
She got to work on that. But she got to get the fuck up under Diddy. Because Oprah, like I said, Oprah would never. Oprah is who she is because she said, we call
Diddy
him has
his thumb on everything. Right. Diddy is stamped on everything that young lady is doing right now.
I get her resources together, boy.
Yeah, so she's got to own her IP. She got to work on
Black. I'm Oprah.
She never said that. That is Caresha's conditioning now, and that's interesting. So
her teeth too big. I love a girl. I love to look at them. Love to look at the teeth of these.
I'm rooting for her, and I hope that we don't come off as two people saying she couldn't make it because of
saying it.
Yeah, the language she used. That's not it at all. I agree. I think there's space for her within that world.
Yeah,
and I just think she has to get her skill set up.
Build your empire. Girl,
I don't know. I'd rather listen to her than let me not say these because we're starting to be in rooms with some of these people. But it's somebody out here that just got a deal, and every time she talks, I'm asleep. I'll be like, girl, what? Why do you have the empire you have? Because I hate your interview style.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, all I see next is Rachel Dolezal.
Listen, last but not least.
That's all I see.
She's another one I'm going to ride for a little bit right now. Rachel gonna do what she got to do. I think she changed her name to Nzinga or something. She got some black ass powerful name. She changed her name. It's not Rachel. It is a black woman's name. Rachel was on the OnlyFans. Somebody done leaked this woman's private.
Oh my God.
Business.
Nkechi Amare Diallo.
Excuse me. Nkechi Adibi Diallo is
That's
now
not what I said. And that's not what I said. I probably said it wrong too.
Fettuccine
Alfredo.
Diablo.
That's the name of the fucking episode. Nkechi Amare.
You don't say
Alfredo.
maybe you don't pronounce the N. Nkechi Amare Diallo.
No, it's Nkechi. They go Nkechi. It's like
we are troubled. There are layers to this. There are nuances.
Very
to
layered
this
right
conversation
now. We're showing a lot about ourselves.
Girl, she said on her OnlyFans, she put on a nice little Fenty lingerie because she was paying homage to the King Rihanna. And she is showing ass, and she might be showing the pink parts. I don't know. But Rachel what Rachel gonna do is she gonna work. She gonna work to pay them bills. And I said, put some respect on her name, and we better learn how to say it. It is Sister Nkechi Amare Diallo.
Let me get myself.
Tickles me.
Let me get myself.
It tickles me.
No, to me, this is incredibly sad. One, I want to say Rachel got a little body out of her. I ain't gonna lie. Somebody sent me one of the pictures, and I was like, "Oh, she good."
Listen,
no, go ahead, Google it. I said, Rachel look good. No, Rachel look good. Rachel looks good. She got a nice calf. I'm like, go ahead, Rachel. Anyway, this makes me sad because I don't know. Maybe 20 years from now, we're gonna be thought as two people who were awful humans, holding back the human race because we were
transracial. We were
transracial phobic. Yeah.
Damn, she killing it. That shit look natural too.
I know.
That
she like
black,
she was working
strong
out.
Black woman right there.
Stop.
Rachel crazy.
Come on, I'm trying to get serious.
Yo.
Shanti, please.
God damn. She got a Dinkra symbol and everything. Oh my God.
Oh, God.
Crazy. Wow.
All right, wait. Come on.
Not Rihanna.
At this point in my life, transracial is not a thing that I understand or really even support. I'll be honest. And I am open. If 20 years from now something changes me and there's more research, there's more I get more education around it. Fine.
We know race isn't real. That is a construct of the constructs of the constructs.
Right. So it's tricky for you to be like, I identify with this. Anyway, listen. I feel badly. I know that a lot of this is, this is a thing, right? People make decisions in their lives and then there are consequences. She made certain decisions. She decided to lie about her race, which is a construct, tricky. But she self-identified and did a lot of work within the community, more work than most of the average Black and brown people have done. If I'm
NAACP president.
I know. So, but she was found out, right? And then handled it, I think, in a way where, talked around it, just didn't really own it. It was a curious time. So now I feel that she's at a place where, what job is she getting?
I'm sure. She ain't getting no work.
I mean, what is your name? I almost called you Amanda. Stop. But that's my point. And now she's had to resort to this. And I know I'm looking at your face. If y'all can see Shanti, she has no empathy or compassion.
No, I'm saying go ahead. Go off, Rachel. Make your bread. I hope she making money.
I hope she makes her bread too. But I'm saying my question is this what she wants to be doing? And I'm not dissing people who do OnlyFans, but as someone who was working in the space of community empowerment, she was in the NAACP. She was doing different work that she felt called to do. Now it seems that I'm assuming she has to do this kind of work because those other spaces aren't taking her seriously. That's sad to me. And I get it. There's repercussions for everything, right? And I'm one of these people that don't take her seriously. If it's one person I get on and don't cape for, it's Rachel. So the fact that I'm caping a little bit, I get on here all the time. Like, you could be purple M&M. You could be who you are, except Rachel can't. She can't be who she thinks she is. That's ridiculous.
She's a pioneer for the transracial community.
But that's my point. That's exactly my point. Maybe years from now, we will hate this take. Maybe we'll grow. I'm not sure. But
I'm not making a comment about her being a Black woman anymore. Okay, Nzinga is doing what she got to do.
I gotta go. I can't.
But what I'm saying is she doing what she got to do, and I say I respect that. I don't think she's well all the way. She got some things going on, and it may be
she got a lot of trauma from growing up.
the
You watched
thing
that
that
documentary?
is unwell about her is not the symptom of it is her trying to be a Black person. But I don't think it is that she's being a Black person, that she is unwell. But she works. She's trying to work. Rachel said, I got to work. She's been working out, apparently.
All right, this topic.
And she doing what she got to do.
All right, well,
I ain't
shout
mad
out
at
to Nkechi Amare Diallo. Let's also call her by the name that she...
crazy.
The name.
She is crazy.
Speaking of her pay a homage to Rihanna, I don't think that we talked about Rihanna doing a Super Bowl.
No.
And all I got to say is the memes that came out of that had me rolling. I can't wait to see what Rihanna cooks up. I know that I'm worried about Rihanna a little bit because every time I see her stepping out with ASAP and going to his show, she looks more and more disgusted with the dude. He just jumped into a mosh pit and she was looking like, what the like, dude, what are you doing? And he almost got trampled. So she's just looking like, we got a kid, like, grow up. What are we doing right now? I don't know. I hope she's okay. But, having a kid will send you back to work. So we'll see. I'm excited for her. I think the NFL is always going to be a tricky subject. Yeah.
Is she going to address her change of spirits? Because Jay-Z's part of the NFL now. Is like, okay, everything's okay.
No, I don't think they do. Again, it's about the narrative. I don't think they do a good enough job on talking about all of the work and money being put into certain communities. I think more can be done, but I think the steps being taken are first steps. I don't think they're ever going to be able to right the wrong of Colin Kaepernick. I don't think they're ever going to be able to right the wrong of, the fans.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about her personal stance. Is she going to address her change of heart? I'm most interested in that versus anything. Well, girl, what happened? Your energy changed. What happened? Let us know.
I think the energy changed because that's exactly what I'm saying is that the NFL...
She should address it.
You think that she should come out and say something?
Yeah, I think she should say, I decided to make this decision because of the amount of interest that they put on my residual royalties.
Girl, the NFL ain't got nothing to do with them royalties. But
I don't know. Somebody said because Jay-Z told me to do it. And he is the head of diversity and inclusion, not knowing what a capitalism is. Not what so he's doing. I trust him.
Oh, we have to talk about that. We have to talk about Jay-Z's
a pop.
Capitalism is a made-up word.
I said capitalist? What the fuck?
That was it.
Y'all
that
just making up words at this point.
Take. I said, Jay. No. The way I cake for you, and I be dying on that hill. Shut up. Boy, shut up. Also, big shout out to Solange. Her score, I guess, her original score for the American Ballet. What is the word for it? I gotta go. I'm not doing well.
Debuted. She had her debut. Emmy was there. She looked great.
She looked great.
Good. Congratulations.
Everybody said that the music was really beautiful. Again, I'm so curious to know how she scored that. Like, does she score music? Like, is she sitting down with like staff paper? I gotta know. I have to know. I'm so curious because my level of respect for her would just be like, what?
Where was her son? That's what I want to know.
Where was your business? You don't know none of these people. I gotta go. You irritated.
Boy.
What's his? He's rapping bad raps about how he came from the gutter. You ain't hear him?
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. You didn't see that? He came from the gutter. Everybody was like, your mother is Solange, your auntie is Beyonce, and your uncle is Jay. And this is what you did? Shut up. He's going to have a hard life. I feel sorry for him.
Because he's light-skinned, number one. Light-skinned men, it ain't the way it used to be. Quincy, the only one from that tribe that seems to be just flourishing in his light-skinnedness. Puff Daddy's son? Now that nigga is living and loving.
That's not his son, right? Not his biological son. I love that he took him under his wing.
That's I'll be sure son, right?
Yeah. And then with Kim deceased, Quincy still looks at Puff as dad. It's a really beautiful thing.
But Quincy loves it. Anyway.
Wow. Two things can exist at once. Puff, you crazy as cat shit and tricky, but at least you looked out for that little boy. And you kind of trying to look out for Caresha, but I know he's getting paid a ton of money off of that. That's a businessman. Anyway, whatever. All right.
Caresha, bless her. I am tickled by her.
We got to end with a City Girl song. All right, ready? What's a City Girl song?
Stacked up, you could get stacked up. Just that bad up.
Is it? Because I'm
stacked up.
Is it?
I don't know.
Look it up real fast.
Stacked up, you could get smacked up.
City Girls song.
Are you watching rap shit? We never talk about rap shit.
No,
I have a hot take on that.
Wait, we're not gonna talk poorly about rap shit. If that's your hot take. Oh, okay, good. Let's say I got friends to write on that show. I haven't watched it yet. All right, we're done. This is a good episode. Thank you so much. We'll be back on Thursday. And with that, we are out.